When most of us hear the word failure, our hearts sink. It feels heavy. It feels uncomfortable. And it reminds us of moments we'd rather forget. Maybe it was that exam you studied weeks for and still didn't pass. Maybe it was the business idea you poured your savings into, only to watch it crumble. Or maybe it was simply not being chosen, not being recognized, not being good enough, at least in that moment. We are conditioned to see failure as a wall, a dead end, a sign that maybe we're just not cut out for something. But what if I told you that this perception of failure is the very thing that keeps most people stuck? What if the secret to real growth, to true success, lies not in avoiding failure, but in embracing it, learning from it, and even seeking it? Think about it. Every skill you've ever learned in your life required you to fail first. You didn't ride a bike smoothly the first time you tried? You failed, scraped your knees, maybe even cried. But eventually, with persistence, you learned. That's the formula! Yet somewhere along the way, we begin to fear those falls. We begin to believe that mistakes are signs of weakness instead of signs of growth. This is where the concept of the growth mindset becomes so powerful. A growth mindset is the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort, learning, and perseverance. It's the recognition that every failure is not proof of inadequacy, but a stepping stone toward mastery. On the flip side, a fixed mindset convinces us that talent is set in stone, that you're either good at something or you're not. And failure is a confirmation of your limits. The truth is, some of the most successful people in history reached their level of greatness. Not despite failure, but because of it. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That mindset kept him going until he finally invented the light bulb, an invention that changed the world. Imagine if he had stopped after his first 50 attempts, or even his first 500. Failure wasn't the end of his journey. It was his teacher, guiding him closer to the solution. Michael Jordan, often called the greatest basketball player of all time, missed more than 9,000 shots in his career, lost nearly 300 games, and on 26 occasions was trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. He once said, "I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." These aren't just quotes to inspire us. They're reminders that failure is baked into the process of achievement. You can't separate success from failure. They are two sides of the same coin. But here's the problem. Most people never give themselves the chance to get to that other side. They stumble once, maybe twice, and then quit. They think, maybe I'm just not smart enough. Maybe I don't have what it takes. Maybe success is for other people, not for me. That voice in your head, that's the fixed mindset talking. It convinces you that effort isn't worth it because talent is predetermined. But neuroscience shows us something completely different. Your brain is like a muscle. The more you challenge it, the more it grows. When you struggle, when you make mistakes, when you push past what's comfortable, your brain literally forms new connections. Failure isn't a sign that you've reached your limit. It's evidence that you're in the process of expanding it. Let's pause here and think about your own life. What's one area where you've been holding back because you're afraid to fail? Maybe it's applying for a job you don't feel qualified for. Maybe it's starting a business or a side project. Maybe it's learning a skill you've always admired in others, but told yourself you could never do. Ask yourself, is it really true that you can't do it? Or have you just not given yourself enough chances to fail, to learn, and to grow? The difference between those who achieve greatness and those who don't often comes down to this. Successful people are willing to fail more than anyone else. They've learned to see failure not as the end, but as part of the journey. This is the essence of the growth mindset. Think about children. When a toddler tries to walk and falls, nobody says, "Well, I guess walking just isn't for you." We encourage them to try again, to take one more step, and eventually they learn. Yet as adults, we stop giving ourselves that same grace. We equate failure with identity. I failed. Therefore, I am a failure. But the truth is, failure is not who you are. It's what you experienced. And what you experience is the raw material that can shape you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. Before publishing the Harry Potter series was rejected by 12 different publishers. Today, she's one of the most successful authors in the world. Imagine if she had taken those rejections as final proof that her dream wasn't worth pursuing. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. Oprah Winfrey was demoted from her job as a news anchor because she wasn't fit for television. Each of these individuals faced failure. Each of them could have stopped, but instead, they leaned into the growth mindset. They asked, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow?" That shift in perspective turned temporary setbacks into lasting success. Now, I want you to reflect on how you personally react to failure when something doesn't go your way. What's your first response? Do you retreat? Do you avoid similar situations in the future? Or do you pause, analyze what went wrong, and adjust? People with a growth mindset treat failure like data. It's feedback. It's information. It tells you what doesn't work so you can get closer to what does. And this isn't just motivational talk, it's backed by science. Studies show that when people adopt a growth mindset, they become more resilient, more willing to take risks, and more persistent in the face of setbacks. They don't avoid challenges. They seek them because they understand that challenge equals growth. But here's something really important to understand. Adopting a growth mindset isn't about pretending failure feels good. Failure hurts. It stings. It makes you doubt yourself. And that's okay. The key isn't to deny those feelings, but to move forward anyway. To tell yourself, this pain is temporary, but the lessons I take from it will last forever. That's the secret. That's why failure, as painful as it is the key to success. Let's make this practical. Imagine two people starting a YouTube channel. The first person uploads a video, doesn't get many views, feels discouraged, and quits. The second person uploads a video, doesn't get many views either. But instead of quitting, they ask themselves, why? Was the title not engaging enough? Was the editing too long? Did I fail to connect with my audience? They learn from the failure, adjust, and post again. Over time, through trial and error, they improve. Guess who eventually builds a successful channel? Not the person who quit after one failure, but the one who used failure as a stepping stone. That's the growth mindset in action. Every failure carries within it the seed of success. The question is, are you willing to plant it, water it, and give it time to grow? Or will you throw it away because it didn't look like success at first glance? The difference is in your perspective. Failure is not a verdict. It's an invitation to grow beyond what you currently are. An invitation to push past limits you thought were unshakable. An invitation to become the person you are capable of being. The answer lies in changing the meaning we attach to failure. Most people see it as a stop sign, but those with a growth mindset see it as a compass. It doesn't block your path. It redirects you toward a better one. That small shift in perspective is what separates the people who stay stuck from the ones who rise. Think about athletes who train for years. Every missed shot, every slow sprint, every practice that doesn't go well, it's all logged, analyzed, and used as fuel to improve. In fact, most professionals spend far more time practicing, failing, and refining than they do actually competing. The real work is invisible, and it's built on failure. But they know something most people don't. The process of failing is what creates consistency. And consistency is what creates mastery. The same principle applies in any area of life. Want to build confidence in public speaking? You'll stumble through awkward moments, forget your lines, and even face silence from the crowd. Want to start a business? You'll face rejection, bad pitches, and ideas that flop. Want to improve relationships? You'll miscommunicate. You'll get misunderstood. You'll make mistakes. These aren't signs to stop. They're signs that you're in the process of learning what works. Every failure teaches you something that success cannot. Success feels good, but it rarely pushes you to reflect. Failure forces reflection, and reflection creates growth. Here's a story that brings this to life. Sara Blakely, the billionaire founder of shared that when she was growing up, her father would ask her and her brother at the dinner table, "What did you fail at today?" And when they answered, he would celebrate their failures, because failure meant they tried something new. That habit rewired her mind to not fear failure, but to see it as a natural part of the process. Years later, when she faced rejection after rejection while trying to pitch her product, she didn't stop. She already knew rejection was part of the path. She didn't run from failure, she ran with it, and it led her to build one of the most successful apparel brands in the world. So, how can you begin adopting this mindset in your own life? Start by reframing failure as feedback. When you encounter a setback, don't just feel the sting and walk away. Pause. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? What can I do differently next time? Instead of labeling the experience as a loss, label it as data. Every failed attempt is giving you a clearer picture of what doesn't work, which brings you closer to discovering what does. Second, practice persistence on purpose. Too often, people quit right before they're about to break through. They assume effort isn't paying off when, in reality, they've simply not persisted long enough. Remember, growth takes time. Think of bamboo. 4 years. Nothing seems to happen as it develops roots underground. Then suddenly, it shoots up feet in a matter of weeks. Human growth works the same way. Failure often feels like wasted effort, but it's actually laying the foundation for your sudden leap forward. Third, surround yourself with people who encourage growth. A fixed mindset environment will feed your fears and make failure feel fatal. But a growth mindset environment will normalize setbacks, celebrate experimentation, and remind you that progress matters more than perfection. Look around you. Are you in spaces that allow you to fail forward? Or are you surrounded by people who only applaud results? The company you keep can make all the difference in how you interpret your journey. Another practical step is to start small but consistent. Challenge yourself in areas where failure feels safe. Try a new hobby. Test a new skill. Step outside your comfort zone in little ways. Every small failure builds your resilience muscle, and over time, you'll find yourself ready to handle bigger risks without fear. Now, let's address something important. Fear. Fear is the reason most people stop after their first failure. But fear is nothing more than anticipation of pain. It's not reality. The pain of failure itself is rarely permanent, but the regret of never trying is. People who adopt the growth mindset know that regret is far heavier than failure. They'd rather fail 100 times in pursuit of their dreams than look back and realize they never had the courage to even try. And let's not forget the psychological reward. When you stick with something despite failure, when you push through setbacks and grow from them, you develop grit. Grit isn't just motivation, it's resilience, built through experience. Psychologist Angela Duckworth describes grit as the single most important predictor of long-term success. And grit can only be forged through challenge, struggle, and yes, now, picture your future self 5 years from now, and another who embraced failure as a guide. The first version plays it safe, avoids risks, and remains in the same place, maybe a little more comfortable but unfulfilled. The second version is bolder, stronger, wiser, having turned countless failures into lessons. Which version do you want to become? The truth is, the life you dream of requires you to walk through failure. You can't skip it. You can't dodge it. You can only embrace it. And the faster you do, the faster you'll grow. The growth mindset is not just about believing in improvement. It's about living it. Day by day, choice by choice, failure by failure. So, the next time you stumble, remind yourself, this is not the end. This is the beginning of becoming someone stronger. This is the tuition you pay for greatness. This is the growth mindset in action. Every failure is teaching you. Every failure is shaping you. Every failure is preparing you. And here's the final secret. You don't need to wait until you succeed to feel proud. You can be proud right now for trying, for showing up, for refusing to let failure define you. Because success isn't a destination, it's a mindset. A mindset that sees failure not as something to avoid, but as the very tool that will unlock your fullest potential. So, keep going. Keep learning. Keep failing forward. Because one day, when you look back, you'll realize that failure wasn't the enemy. It was the key. The key that unlocked the door to everything you were meant to become.